Welcome to TechTalks. I'm your host, and today we're going to explore how eco-design is shaping modern product development, supporting performance, strengthening trust, and enabling more resource-efficient solutions. So how do remanufacturing and repairability promote circularity and efficient use of resources in product development? And in what ways can carbon calculators help businesses make more informed decisions to reduce their environmental impact? Join us for an engaging conversation on how innovation and sustainability come together in product design, right here on TechTalks. So, with me here today, I have
Emma Mörlin. I work as an eco-design engineer within the Industrial Technique business area.
Dan Weaver. I'm head of engineering for the Industrial Vacuum division in Vacuum Technique.
Emma Laps, working as a project engineer within the Power Technique business area.
And I'm Evi Bultinck, work as a program leader, circular economy in the Compressor Technique business area.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. So let's start with the basics. What is eco-design and why has it become so important in product development?
Eco-design for me, it's about a considerate use of resources. In the classical model, we take resources from the earth, we make them into products, we sell the products to our customer, the customer uses the products, and end of life, they are discarded as waste. It's called the linear economy or the take, make, use, waste economy. But we can do that much better because that model creates a lot of waste. We emit massive amounts of carbon during production processes. And of course, we use a lot of natural resources. When we want to do it better, we need to design our products differently to work in the so-called circular economy. In that economy, we use less resources. For example, this could be done by combining functions. Also, we can design the products in such a way that they can be reused, repaired, or recycled so that the lifetime of the product is longer and also the lifetime of the materials is longer. In that way, we use a lot less resources, we emit less CO2, and we create less waste, which is better for the people and the planet.
So, Emma, when we talked the other day, you said that you have a favorite quote. Eco-design means thinking about the environment already at the drawing board and not just at the recycling plant.
Yes, I really like that quote because it highlights that we have to take environmental considerations as early as possible in the design phase, as it will decide what environmental impact we have further on in the product life.
And I think it summarizes very well what you just said, Evi.
Yes, indeed. And the majority of the emissions are also determined in the design phase already.
Can you share some examples of a product where this has made a major difference in performance, sustainability, or customer trust? If we start with you, Dan?
Yeah, sure. For our latest generation of industrial vacuum pumps, we focused a lot on footprint reduction. For machines that can typically weigh in excess of 1,000 kilos, all the material contribution counts, but it's transport and handling where we see a real difference. We succeeded in reducing the footprint by around 40% on these products, which was quite an achievement. And this slashed the CO2 that's generated as part of the global shipping process. The products are also packed using a lot of sustainable materials, and these smaller machines are much easier for our customers to install, maintain and repair when the time comes.
Do we have any more examples?
Yeah, we have a product group of hand-held cordless nut runners, and these tools are fully managed by an integrated controller without the need of an intermediate physical controller box, which was the case for the previous generation of this product group. So with that innovation, we reduced the hardware footprint, and we also enabled a transformation towards a more smart and flexible way of manufacturing for our customers. So besides the reduction of emissions from the avoided use of materials, these tools are also containing recycled and recyclable materials. They are easy to disassemble, which enables service for a prolonged product life. So they really incorporate some of the key principles within eco-design.
Yeah, another example is the hybrid generator, which combines a diesel engine with a battery system. And by combining these two, you will not use the diesel engine as much, which means a cleaner and a quieter workspace. But also the diesel engine is used on its most optimal point, which means lower fuel consumption, also less wear, and overall a longer lifetime.
So I guess these examples clearly show how innovative design choices can drive meaningful impact, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Personal reflection then is that as a company, it must be challenging to resist the urge to constantly push for new products. So how do they decide when to repair, remanufacture, or replace something? Because they still want to be profitable, right?
That's true. It's a difficult decision, and it really does come down to the type of products and how it's used. But there is some middle ground. So a lot of our service business is actually focused on upgrades of existing products. So it means that you can take a product that may not be as efficient as it could be by modern standards, and maybe change parts of that, focusing around the customer's unique situation and operating points. That does make it more efficient and is a lot less impactful to the environment than having to replace the whole machine. And this is something that we see ever increasing in the vacuum part of the world.
So do we have some sort of second-hand market for our products then also, that we take them back and then we sell them again?
In Compressor Technique, we have a dedicated remanufacturing plant. It's called Originaire. And there we have very skilled technicians all around the world that are able to determine whether a machine can still be repaired or remanufactured.
By extending the lifetime of existing components, you avoid making a new unit, which means a reduction on energy use, raw resources, and waste generation. But there is always a trade-off. It's not always that it's better to repair or remanufacture. Sometimes an old, inefficient unit should be discarded or scrapped, and you can better buy a new, more efficient one.
So speaking of resource efficiency, how can eco-design support circularity and secure access to key materials?
It comes back to looking at it from the design stage, as Emma said. Our engineers work with our supply chain, and the goal is really resilience. That means not only continuity of supply of material, but also making smarter material choices. And it's an ongoing process that's sometimes closely linked to developments on the world stage.
If we use materials longer, if we make use of recyclable materials, we make ourselves less dependent on virgin material resources.
What does that mean?
A virgin material is a material that hasn't been used before. It's coming straight from the mine, for example. Those virgin materials can get scarce with, as a result, very high fluctuating material prices or very high material prices.
In what ways can tools such as carbon footprint calculators and circularity assessments shape product design choices and support our customers' performance?
These tools give us the insights we need to make smarter design choices. And if you don't know what's the carbon footprint or how circular a product is, it's very difficult to start improving this. So by measuring this, we can see the hotspots in that product, and we can really put the focus where it really matters.
And these type of tools, is that something we have produced internally, or is it a standard solution available on the market?
Yeah, we have the carbon footprint calculator and a circularity assessment made together with external parties, and it's tailor-made for Atlas Copco Group.
In every business area, we use these calculation tools, but also we've made a checklist and a circular design manual. We use these tools in the engineering teams, on one hand, to spark ideas from our engineers, to get ideas on what is circularity, but also, like Emma said, they are able to measure their circularity performance and find ways to improve it.
And we are a truly decentralized group, right? But we do use the same tool, all of us, or is it different in different business areas?
No, we all use the same tools. I think when we initially started to address how we can proactively become more sustainable in the product creation process, we didn't find immediately tools that we could pick up and just run with. And it became very important to set this benchmark for where we are today to ensure that we are then continuously improving from it. So it was a step forward for us, definitely.
So are there any challenges when implementing this eco-design principles?
There are always challenges, I think, but there's always some progress that can be made. The basis is, I think, it's better to do something. So start small and then watch how that grows until the new way becomes the normal way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the biggest challenges I see is that the sustainability goals don't always perfectly line up with other KPIs. And for example, if you're looking into a more sustainable material or you want to redesign your components, it does have often a product cost, an increased product cost, or the testing becomes longer. So in other cases as well, teams may have strict deadlines or budget constraints where it's more difficult for them to look into these new ideas and explore these. So yeah, it's often a balance in between trying to meeting these sustainability goals without compromising on product cost, on timing, and on performance. It is difficult, but it's possible, I think, with collaboration, with creativity, and definitely with a shift in mindset.
Yeah, it's not a digital switch, is it? It's something that happens over a period of time.
Indeed.
And I think we should also look at the bigger picture, because now engineering teams are very used to only looking at product cost. What is the price of making a product and then selling it, and that's it. But as Emma explained in the beginning, circular economy, it's about a life cycle approach. So also the cost should be calculated on the life cycle of the product, not only in the beginning from selling the product, but also what's the cost, for example, of a repair, and what is then the benefit of using the product much longer. So overall, the life cycle cost for the customer could be decreased. On the other hand, we didn't speak about other business models, like as a service, for example. It could be that initially it seems more expensive for us as a company, but also there you can find customer segments where an as a service model works perfectly, and then it's a win-win situation for the company and for the customers. So we need to look further than only at product cost. We need to look at the full life cycle of the product.
Then the service model, Evi, can you explain a little bit more about that, what it is?
Yes, and as a service model, it's not selling the machine to the customer, but leasing it. And the customer pays a monthly fee, and on top of that, they pay for the usage of the compressor. So when the compressor is switched on or the machine is switched on, the customer starts paying. Yeah, you can make the comparison with car sharing systems, for example, which is in the end cheaper for certain types of customers.
How can we drive this change both internally but also externally with customers and suppliers?
Yes, I think driving the transition towards eco-design requires a structured and collaborative approach across the entire value chain. I think the first step is to have clear eco-design targets embedded into our product development processes, and also to make sure that these targets are translated into concrete design decisions. Besides that, I think that access to reliable environmental product data, cross-functional collaboration, and also giving team the time and support to explore alternatives and to innovate is really essential. And for both our suppliers and customers, I think that early communication and collaboration related to our environmental targets and eco-design approach is really important, because there's not only one company that can do this. It's really a collaborative approach, and it requires the entire value chain to collaborate.
Yeah, I think internally it starts with building understanding. When people know what is eco-design and what are the benefits, it they are more eager to get engaged. But understanding alone or awareness alone isn't enough. Therefore, also, as Emma said, the designers or engineers need to have the freedom to explore new ideas and to be creative.
And how do we then educate our employees about eco-design?
There are some Atlas Copco Group videos about what is circularity, like really high level. I think it's interesting for everybody to watch and to understand the key definitions like narrow, slow, and close, which we use a lot in terms of circularity. And then as a next step, we need to see how we can use these eco-design principles and translate it to the different products within our own business area.
Every business area has also created dedicated trainings for the engineering teams that explain step by step how to use these calculation tools in their design process.
And I guess this is something that changes rapidly nowadays. I guess you need to upskill yourself all the time to make sure that we do the best we can.
There's that, but there's also the evolution of our own processes to make sure what is the evolving best practice is installed and communicated throughout the teams, because it is changing.
And also, it's not only about design teams or the engineering teams, because we've talked a lot about eco-design.
Yeah.
But of course, I keep repeating this, it's about a life cycle approach.
Yes.
So the design teams really need to communicate now more than ever with the purchasing teams, with the marketing teams, with the production teams, because an ecologically designed product also, of course, needs recyclable materials. So the purchasing teams need to step in there, but it also needs to be marketed in a different way. It needs to be produced in a different way. So we need to cooperate over the value chain. And a big part of education to me is also showing success stories. So we need to be proud of every step that we take here in this circular economy transition. If a design team creates some revolutionary, repairable or upgradable product, we need to brag with it, we need to publish it. I really like very much the communication between the business areas that is happening right now.
Yeah.
So what emerging trends or technologies do you think will drive the progress in eco-design over the next coming few years?
So we see a few things happening. Internally, we're looking at how we develop our own products, but we see new magnetic materials, new motor technology, new battery technology. These are all really important parts for us. All of them will reduce the burden on rare earth minerals, and most of them bring with them quite substantial efficiency gains in terms of power and power efficiency. So that's a good sign. In other areas, we're looking at lubricants to remove dependencies on things like PFAS materials and even reduce the dependencies on mineral oils. There's lots of things that can potentially change the way that we make decisions around what we use and in future.
Yeah, you mentioned PFAS materials, so I'd like to step into that. We see the chemical legislation is, of course, moving really fast nowadays. There's a lot of focus on sustainable and healthy materials. So that is a trend that we need to look after and be aware of, that we avoid hazardous materials like PFAS. Another very big trend is, of course, AI and everything around data. Which we can, I think, benefit from. We are already used to working with data. We have the smart link on our compressors in Compressor Technique, which send data from the compressor back to us, the conditions and so on. Apart from that data that we can look into, we also have service reports, we have failure reports, and so on. It's now just a matter of combining all of that data and really making use of that. And for that, we need smart algorithms, we need AI, so that, for example, I've already talked about Originaire, our remanufacturing plant, that before even opening a machine, that the service team there knows what to do, what parts could be repaired, what parts are completely destroyed and need to be discarded. And that without even opening the machine, that would be a major step forward.
That must be a big change, I guess. I mean, coming as a service technician and already know what it is you're going to repair, and in terms of efficiency and
yes, indeed, that could save us an enormous amount of time. And at Atlas Copco Group, we are used to working with data. We already do this for many years. We are a very service-driven organization, so it's not new for us. I'm sure that we can take this step.
Yeah, I really agree with that data focus. Generally, I think that data-driven optimization of our products and their environmental performance can increasingly enable design teams to identify environmental hotspots early in the product lifecycle.
One of the key drivers as well is legislation. It gives companies an incentive to really push for new products to make them more energy efficient and more circular as well.
Yes. And going forward, we have the digital product passport, which will enable us to gather product information in a structured and standardized way, which I think will really influence how we both develop our products, but also how we use our resources going forward.
And also how we treat the product's end of life.
Yes, definitely.
product passport. That sounds interesting. What is that? Is that something we have on all products, or?
So this is coming from the Eco-Design for Sustainable Products regulation, which is an EU regulation. And in the future, it will be mandatory for all products. The EU is starting with a few product groups, but then it's expected to be expanded. And it will include product data on many levels, such as material, carbon footprint, repairability, just to mention a few areas.
So it's one passport per product, kind of, and yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
It's actually even further. It is indeed one passport per machine, but also separate passports per component, because also the spare parts need their separate passport, because when they are replaced with a new spare part, it has a new passport, which needs to be linked to the machine. It sounds complicated, but in the end, this legislation is really made to enable and to improve the circularity of products.
So we're down to the final question. And that's about what excites you the most about working in this field, and what keeps you motivated to innovate in this area.
So what excites me most is that eco-design truly brings together engineering, customer value, and environmental impact. So even small design changes can have huge impacts on reduction in emissions when products are deployed at scale and used over many years. So being able to develop products that are both technically strong, but also that genuinely support a more sustainable industry is what makes this work both challenging, but also highly rewarding.
I work in the vacuum part of the business. And I really enjoy it because vacuum products touch our lives in ways that we may not know or think about. We help preserve food so it can reach communities that don't have any. We enable production of solar panels and the latest, smallest AI microchips. Batteries, building materials like glass and steel. Our products are used in the creation of vaccines and even deep space exploration. So we are touching everywhere. And I think there's more areas of the business where vacuum will become relevant. And if you think of the big challenges that lay ahead. So eco-design is really key, because we're touching so many things already. Having that actually ingrained in our products is really bright for our future, I think. We can't do without it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what excites me the most is that we're only at the beginning. We are already doing a lot within the company, but there's much more that we can do. And it's nice to both contribute on reducing the environmental impact, but also shapes the future of Atlas Copco Group, and contributing on these both these levels makes me feel really exciting to go forward with this.
I'm really proud of being part of this transition of going from a linear economy towards a circular economy. That's what excites me, really.
This concludes today's episode on eco-design. For more information about us, go to atlascopcogroup.com. In the upcoming episodes, we will continue to explore technologies that help society function seamlessly. Thank you to Emma, Dan, Emma, and Evi, and for all of you listening. Take care and see you soon.